Let me explain. What is going on, guys? Sam here, and I know I've been away for quite a while now. I recently changed majors in school, and it's been a pretty busy semester. But more importantly, I've actually been working really hard to get this brand new car. So as the title suggests, I traded in my 2017 Subaru BRZ for this new car, which is a 2018 Subaru BRZ. However, besides the year models being different, this one comes with a manual transmission. Now, I'm not going to compare the 2017 automatic BRZ to the 2018 manual BRZ. I'm actually going to be doing that in a later video after I've had some time to drive this car around. However, the purpose of this video is to talk about why and the thought process that led up to me trading in my 2017 BRZ for this 2018 manual BRZ. So for starters, I never really felt completely satisfied with the automatic 2017 Subaru BRZ. I know that sounds kind of crazy because I made a video, my first video actually, about why the 2017 automatic BRZ was still a very fun car to drive, regardless of the transmission it had. But in my 1 year and 7 months of ownership of that car, I just never really felt completely fulfilled, I guess, by it. I know I modified it by adding a catback exhaust and stuff, but to be honest, I didn't go through with my plans of modifying and, giving you guys episodes of me doing different installs because I think I didn't want to completely invest time or money into modifying an automatic version of the BRZ. And I think the main reason behind that is because I feel like this car really deserves a manual transmission. So if you guys watched my last video, you will remember that my commute to school and work consisted mostly of highway and city driving. However, after that review, I guess a couple months after, I ended up moving closer to school and work, and so my commute changed for the better. So my original reasons for buying the BRZ, 2017 BRZ with an automatic transmission consisted of, well, I guess first off, the fact that I didn't know how to drive stick at the time of purchase of that car, as well as I wanted better fuel efficiency, especially, again, being as though my commute was mostly highway and city driving. I didn't want to get stuck with a manual transmission in traffic because I've heard stories, and I also worried about long-term maintenance in terms of the clutch. I didn't want to worry about burning out my clutch, or even worry about changing the clutch. And I guess overall, just the intimidating factor of driving stick in a city and it being my first manual vehicle. Now, I know my reasons may actually sound like excuses, and I'm not trying to get into a debate about whether manuals or automatics are better or why, but let's be honest here for a second. A lot of people, when buying their next car, either consider or don't even consider buying their car with an automatic transmission, because nowadays that's just the norm, and that's what a lot of people just know and lean towards. And a lot of people buy automatic transmissions for the same reason that I bought my BRZ with an automatic transmission. However, that being said, over the course of, I guess, 1.5 years of ownership of this vehicle, I realized that this car is still best suited and best paired with a manual transmission. So I guess now we should move on to what really made me take the plunge to go over the edge and trade in my automatic BRZ for this manual BRZ. And I think a lot had to do with the fact that I had put on 24,000 miles in less than 2 years. As a lot of people will know, the expected mileage for each car in a year is like 12,000. So I had managed to put on 2 years worth and then some worth of miles in a year and 7 months. And that also kind of disqualified me from getting the maximum value with the Subaru Guaranteed Trade-In program or whatever. And so I knew that every time I took it out, I felt like the car's value was depreciating drastically with every other mile that I drove. And I couldn't help it because, again, this is my daily driver. And I guess I didn't really want to pay, I don't think anybody wants to pay, more on top of my new car. And so that was one of the primary factors that led me to really speeding up the process and taking action to getting this manual BRZ. So I needed a car to learn manual on. I needed someone to teach me. So I hit up my buddy Aaron, who owns a Ford Focus ST that he actually had just bought. And he was so gracious enough to teach me on his own personal new car. So thank you, Aaron. But we spent about a day in an empty parking lot and driving around. And eventually I learned how to drive manual in a day. And so the next step was to go around to different dealerships in the area around Orlando and see who had the car and the spec that I wanted, which is manual transmission, obviously, with World Rally Blue, New Year 2018 with Apple CarPlay, so the limited trim. And after doing a lot of hunting and driving around and searching online, I found that there are only were only two dealerships at the time that had my car and the spec that I wanted. So after crunching the numbers and finding out what exactly the number was that I needed to go in and be able to essentially trade in my car and get the new car, I ended up going to Don Mealy Sports Subaru and sitting down with them and coming out with the deal to trade in my 2017 automatic BRZ for this 2018 manual BRZ. Here's a picture of me sitting inside of the new car, this car, the manual car, looking at my old car for the last time. They moved pretty quick and my car disappeared from me essentially after I had given them the keys for inspection. So that was the last time that I got to see that car. Here's a picture of me sitting down and making a deal. I ended up leaving the dealership an hour after they had closed, so a huge shout out to Don Mealy again for taking care of me and staying open and getting the deal done. The day that I had bought it was also the last day to get free oil changes. I think they were ending that deal after that day, but you know, whatever sells a car, right? But from the moment I drove this car off the lot, I realized that the level of engagement and fun and control that you have with the manual transmission with this car outweighs any of the aforementioned reasons that I had for buying the automatic BRZ. Whether it be in the city or on these back roads or even in traffic, it's really not as bad as people make it out to be. I think a lot of the reasons or excuses are magnified because someone wants to really make a point and defend one transmission over the other. But that is not the case with this car. Fuel consumption, this car, I'm averaging currently 27 miles per gallon. On my automatic BRZ, I averaged 28 miles per gallon, and I was driving with the lead foot. Driving in traffic really isn't as bad as a lot of people make it out to be, especially those people who defend automatic transmission. I do understand there were some days that I was caught in some gridlock traffic. I'm talking, I moved a mile in roughly an hour. Really wasn't that bad. It sucked, but it's not something that no one could handle. Well, I had originally planned for this to be my long-term daily driver, and by long-term I mean like in the future I would get a more expensive, faster car that I could finally use as a garage queen, I guess you could say, and take it out on the weekends, and finally I could buy it with a manual transmission. I realized that, especially through the process of buying and trading in the car, that was a long way off. I still had to complete my major, graduate, get a job, and even then I would still have to settle down before I could afford my new car. So that was a long way off. And I realized that, you know, this car, why not enjoy it now? I got the car for a reason, and why not get it in the spec that it was meant to be bought and driven in? Lastly, I just need to grow a pair, honestly. As funny as that is to say, driving manual intimidated me. I mean, I didn't want to live with the day-to-day struggles and issues that people like to highlight. On top of that, I didn't want to spend this much money and regret my decision. Different things like that all added up in my head, and it was all just kind of, you know, me defeating myself in my mind, when in reality, driving manual really isn't that bad. As you could tell, and I had said earlier, I learned and picked up driving stick in a few hours on my friend's car. And I'm no expert either. I'm not going to come here and tell you that I shift really smoothly and stuff, and that I don't stall. First couple of weeks I stalled a lot, and then it slowly got better as I began to really get a feel for this car. Not gonna lie, the bite point on this car is a little high, which makes it a little hard to drive. However, once you master it, it is very, very rewarding to drive. All in all, I think the 2017 Subaru BRZ that I had with the automatic transmission taught me how to really appreciate the handling and limits of the car, while this 2018 manual BRZ really teaches you how to control the power band and really pick which gear to be in at which time to make for a more rewarding driving experience. My car is still not completely broken in, and I still need to get better at driving manual, but I thought for now that I should give you guys an update video on what's been going on in my life and what led me to this point that you're finally caught up to. I'll definitely be uploading more content in the future in terms of this car installs and a lot of other videos I plan to do. So I'm definitely back, so please like, subscribe, and comment what else you would like to see in the future. Let me know if you'd like to see a video on the process, like the specifics it took me and the details it took for me to trade in this car, and how I came about the numbers I did, and how I was able to afford trading in a brand new car for another brand new car. But until then, I will see you guys in the next one.